There are a lot of TV series out there that I've grown an attachment to. I truly love to respect and applaud shows that make me feel happy. I especially can admire shows that leave such a powerful impact that they changed who I am as a person. But for as many series as I love, there's one show that made me feel a way I will never forget. A drama that made my heart race and stop and shatter only to be rebuilt again and again. A show that made me feel happy when the characters were happy and sad when the characters were sad. A series that I could not stop thinking about when it was over. A series that I still haven't stopped thinking about to this day. This show, of course, my viewers, was Clannad and its predecessor, Clannad After Story. Let us begin. Clannad is a slice-of-life romance anime all centered around Tomoya Okazaki, a high school boy who hates the town he lives in. Tomoya's mother died when he was very young, leaving him with his now broken father, who Tomoya has a very rocky relationship with. On top of this, Tomoya is not very well respected at school, with many kids calling him a delinquent. He really only has one true friend, making him extremely lonely. Overall, Tomoya's life is extremely depressing and leads him to a point where he's living life just to live life, with no set goal in mind, no destination to reach, nowhere to run, nothing to do, until that day, the day he met Nagisa Furukawa. Nagisa has a great attachment to the high school in which she and Tomoya go to. She was forced to repeat her senior year of high school because she got really sick last year and missed several days of school. Nagisa's positivity sort of reflects Tomoya's negativity, making character interactions extremely interesting. Nagisa really wants to join the drama club, but that becomes increasingly difficult considering her introverted nature and the fact that the drama club shut down years ago with little hope of being rebuilt. The plot of the original Clannad all centers around the goal of Nagisa and Tomoya working together to restart the drama club. Whilst they're doing this, however, they also attempt to fix the conflicts of their fellow classmates and at the same time deal with their own internal conflicts as well. Clannad does a fantastic job of developing every character introduced and giving each one their own story. While I won't explain all of them in depth because that would take way too long and possibly ruin the experience of watching the show, I'll simply give you a brief summary of each character. First, we have Sunohara, the comic relief character, yes, in many instances, but also Tomoya's only true friend at the beginning of the series. Next, Tomoya is an absolute mad ladette, who is super strong and at one time beat up all of the naughty kids she saw, but is now just trying to live on as a normal high school student and hopefully one day join the student council. Ryo is a quiet student who is very good at telling fortunes. Her sister, on the other hand, Kyo, is very loud and has a short temper, but is very protective of her sister. Fuko is obsessed with Starfish, and Katomi is a genius who aces all her classes and spends all day every day reading books. I don't think my summaries do all of these characters justice, but I promise you the show does. There is another side to Clannad's story, a side that we only see for brief moments. We call this side the illusionary world, a world that exists outside of the world in which Nagisa and Tomoya live. In this world, we follow a soul wandering the universe who meets a girl who is, quote, living in a world that has ended. This leads us to the mysterious and supernatural part of Clannad. It's not a place that the writers needed to implement into the story. Heck, if you skipped every single one of these short, illusionary world scenes, the whole series would still make sense. But it's still very cool and explains parts of Nagisa's story that we may not fully understand otherwise. It also really gave me motivation to keep watching the series as a whole to find out what's going to happen to the spirit and the girl next. Many people will tell you that the music in Clannad is simply mediocre, but I would be inclined to disagree. I believe that the music used in Clannad is brilliant. It truly adds to the emotion of every scene, and after watching it several times, still makes me feel nostalgic every time I listen to it. My favorite song from the soundtrack is probably a song titled The Girl's Fantasy. It's a track that plays only in the illusionary world scenes and really highlights the fantastical and mysterious reality the spirit and the girl live in. It also holds its own merits as just a good song in general. The animation is on par with other anime's animation in 2007, never really exceeding expectations, but at the same time, never defeating them either. The animation is fine and still holds up to this day. I have to give props, however, to the use of color in many scenes, making the colors a lot more vibrant when things are helpful and darker, sometimes even black and white when things are going terribly. Overall, the original Clannad is a fantastic series with great characters, writing, music, and a beautiful lead up to the ending. But what truly makes Clannad my favorite show of all time, and a better romantic drama than any I've seen today, is its second season, Clannad After Story. Warning: in order to explain why this show is so great, I will have to spoil some of the ending of the first season of Clannad. While I don't think it will take away from your experience watching it, I do understand that some of you may want to go in completely spoiler-free. If you want to skip this portion of the review and find where I speak my final universal thoughts between the two seasons, then skip to this time shown on screen right now. You have been warned. Romantic dramas in anime often focus on two characters, usually the main characters, going to high school, and end with those two characters falling in love and getting in a relationship. What they seem to fail at is what happens afterwards. What is life like after high school? What struggles and tribulations do the characters go through to maintain their relationship? Questions like these are never truly answered. This is the premise of Clannad After Story. The first season of Clannad ends with a beautiful sequence where Tomoya and Nagisa profess their love for each other. Clannad After Story tells the tale of these two characters maintaining and expanding their relationship while still dealing with a lot of the internal demons left unresolved from the first season. It's a brilliant tale of life beyond high school. However, I cannot deny Clannad After Story has a lot of flaws and things stacked against it that I better talk about. The animation quality drops noticeably from the first season, which doesn't really take away from the experience. I mean, the quality still holds up today, but I can't deny that it's very strange and confusing. A lot of the phenomenally developed and well-utilized characters from the first season are either not used at all in this season, or show up extremely minimally, as the series shifts most of its focus to Tomoya and Nagisa. The first 8 episodes of Clannad After Story are not at all essential to the main plot, and while they do foreshadow and explain the ending of this season, and do a good job of developing some of the more underutilized characters in the first season, a lot of times these episodes can be extremely boring and feel like they were just put in to increase the length of the series. On top of this, the English version or English dub of this season feels extremely plain, and in my opinion more so than the first season did. For as many flaws as Clannad After Story has, it is still my favorite show of all time. The illusionary world is back in the season, and for as much as the animation quality dropped, the quality of these sequences is amazing, and more than holds up today. I love watching Tomoya and Nagisa try to live past their conflicts and learn how to live as an adult. Even the simple struggles like finding a house or getting a job are just so much fun to watch and develop the characters extremely well. The show never wastes a second of its runtime on useless information or stuff. And the use of music is, in my opinion, even better than the first season, which is an accomplishment. But the best part of Clannad After Story is the emotion it puts forth. You want to see these characters succeed, so when something goes terribly wrong, you feel the emotions of the characters, and it's extremely depressing. Clannad After Story is the first show that ever made me tear up. It's a show that made me feel emotions that I didn't think I could feel from a show, especially from an anime. This show is heart-wrenching and hard to watch at times, but it's also a show that I could not stop watching, because every time things were at their worst, there always became a light in the darkness. Now, the ending of this show is very controversial. It's definitely not the best ending to any given show, and may not answer every single question presented throughout the series. Heck, maybe it opens up even more questions. But I personally believe that it works as a satisfying ending, and is an ending that this series deserves. Clannad and Clannad After Story are definitely not the definition of a perfect show in any way, shape, or form, but it's still my favorite show of all time. It's a show that has taught me a lot about how life should be lived and has brought great joy upon me as a person. Maybe it's not a show for everyone, but I think you owe it to yourself to watch the show. Even if you don't feel the same way I do about it, I think you need to at least give it a shot, because if you don't, you might miss the chance to see a truly great series. Thank you everybody for watching, and I hope that one day I can take you to the place where wishes come true.